TriStar Pictures announces the collaboration of three extraordinary talents. Jim Henson, creator of The Muppets and Dark Crystal.
Where you go with a head like that?
George Lucas, creator of the Star Wars saga. And one of the most innovative forces in modern entertainment, David Bowie. Together, they will take you into a dazzling world of fantasy and adventure.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
A world where anything seems possible, and nothing is what it seems.
Everything I've done for you. I move the stars for no one. Run so far, run so far.
The world of Labyrinth.
Hello, and welcome to this special episode of the King Street Cinema podcast. My name's Andy. I'm joined, as ever, by James.
Hello.
Hello. And it's the 40th anniversary of the Jim Henson classic Labyrinth. So we're doing a special mini episode, really, focusing on that movie and the career of Jim Henson.
Yes.
And I always say, and I do say this a lot because I repeat myself a lot, that I don't think my childhood would have been as happy without the work of Jim Henson. Just so much stuff growing up in the 80s and 90s for me, and even for people a generation or so before.
Absolutely,
in the 70s.
yeah.
Yes.
Definitely the older kids to ourselves would have very much enjoyed. And even, I mean, he goes back a while, to be perfectly fair.
So should we start by just talking about his career for a bit, then we'll talk about the film Labyrinth.
Go on then.
So, firstly, your first that you remember, and this is a typical one for me, introduction to the work of Jim Henson.
Yeah, okay. I mean, without knowing it, I'm sure, without knowing it's Jim Henson, I'm sure it's probably Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I can't say for certain, in all honesty, because it's just always been there.
Yeah.
Right? Henson's work has just been a part of my life since I can ever remember. But yeah, probably Sesame Street, which was on a regular, daily basis on Channel 4 for us growing up as kids.
Yeah, I mean, and I was born in 1981, you was born in 1982, yeah. And that show started, did it go back to
69?
69, so it had already been on air 12 years before either of us were born.
Yeah.
I have vague memories of it being so young, but I was probably so young when it was in front of me that I wouldn't have taken those memories in.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember the characters, Count Von Count, and obviously, you had little cameos from Kermit on it. Big Bird was on it.
Yeah, Big Bird's there, I think, from the start.
From the start,
yeah.
And the basically the little songs, and Sesame Street probably taught me to count to at least 12 anyway.
Yes. What a song!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yes.
And they can't go past that because it's unlucky the next number. And yeah, big part of growing up. And I still can picture, I don't know their names, but I can picture the humans who are on it with them.
Yeah, do you know, so we had, that's a shame. This is why I would have liked to have done a little bit of just, refreshing in my head. Because I do remember, Gordon's one, I definitely remember Gordon.
Yeah. Should we just let the listeners know that the research for you went wrong today?
Yeah. So I was going to do a whole bunch of just, as they say, boning up on Henson stuff, and I didn't get the chance, sadly, because malfunction ultimately.
Yeah, internet. And to be fair, I just wanted a conversation about Jim
Henson.
Exactly. And Jim Henson, I constantly still watch his work.
Oh God.
But the one thing, obviously, I haven't watched in recent years is Sesame Street. I've seen like outtakes. So I see a lot of outtakes of like Elmo with Robin Williams and things like that.
Oh yeah, on YouTube.
But I have. I mean, the next sort of well-known thing he done after that, and this I have very vivid memories of. Not sure what channel it was on. I think it was on a Saturday evening or Sunday evening, The Muppet Show.
Yeah.
And this is my first solid memories of watching it with my parents, laughing as well, which is very important. Where The Muppet Show was a variety show each week, and it's kind of behind the scenes of it as well with the Muppets.
Yeah.
And there's a different celebrity guest every week. Yeah. And I hadn't seen this for a very long time. I had best of compilation on DVD actually probably 20 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that coming out.
And then I didn't pick up the series, but it's more recently, a few years ago, been added to Disney Plus. Yeah. So I have gone back, and it's very interesting because as a kid, loads of these celebrities I would not have known who they were. Yeah. And that was obviously for the adults. You'd have people like Madeline Kahn was on it, and Steve Martin, people like that who were adult. Yeah. Familiar. I mean, I might have seen Madeline Kahn in, say, Clue at a young age. Yeah. But not someone who drew me to watch it at that age.
Sure. Yeah, it was definitely more, I'd say, more a show for adults. Yeah. Even though it was clearly, anyone pretty could watch it. It wasn't like it was, for grown-ups in a grown-up sense, but it was more like the humor was, leaning towards. Like a variety show, a sort of, an evening show, which is what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I always connect the comedy of it in the same way as, say, The Simpsons, which appeals to children, but there's so much in there. Yeah. Nothing offensive, nothing too far.
Oh, no. I mean, maybe a little bit of slight raunchiness.
Yeah, but not...
But nothing that would sort of upset anybody.
I mean, and even more recently, the same sort of thing has been done, even though it is more aimed at kids, but in films like Shrek and stuff like that, there's that sort of... and rewatching it, going back, there's some really funny stuff, great music as well.
Oh, of course.
And Jim Henson's possibly one of the most underrated musicians ever as well, because a lot of that music he did write, didn't he? So that was what the real impact for me. And then also, which we didn't get over here, he tried to go even more adult around this time by the first series of Saturday Night Live. Sure. There was different versions of the Muppets on that.
There were.
Which I have seen since, and for me, that's really dated.
I mean, okay, that's true. Okay, so there was a film recently, wasn't there, about Saturday Night Live, and then the first ever Saturday Night Live performance, the original one, and in that Henson and his Muppets are a part of it, and they set up the premise that Henson's this, which he was, a bit of a hippie, and that he wasn't quite necessarily on board with the more grown-up element to his Muppets being used that way, which is a lie. Yeah. He'd been doing grown-up-ish stuff since the beginning, right from the very start. So I didn't like that about the film, that he's coming across like, I only did Sesame Street, and now all of a sudden you want me to do grown-up stuff. It's like, that's not true. I think
that they elaborated on that, and it's not fair on the legacy of him. I think they elaborated on that because I imagine back, and I know a fair bit about the people who were involved in Saturday Night Live, that they would have made fun of him.
Yes, true.
For doing kid stuff, and I think they've put that in just to add to the watchability of it, to make him a bit softer.
I think so.
And it will, in the film it works better. But yeah, you're right. It's total fabrication.
It's not how it was. Yeah. I mean, he did 2 pilots for the Muppet Show well before Saturday Night Live even went on air, and they are much more risque. And he did that on purpose because he wanted to say, "Hey, everybody, I can do grown-up stuff." Yeah. Right. So that was a part of him before he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. And that's say if you can find it, have a look at the Saturday Night Live. So it's interesting. Yeah. But maybe I think it just doesn't work in that first series of Saturday Night Live is all over the place anyway, and it didn't become what it was for a year or so later. And to me, it sticks out as it almost slows the show down a bit. Yeah. But in its own context, I think it would have been great, and those characters were good.
I think for the time, absolutely, having them on, because like I say, you'd been on TV a little bit here and there, but Saturday Night Live, even though it was a new thing, the idea of it was to say, hey, here's something completely new. Here's the future, almost like. Yeah. And Henson being a part of that, I think, is very important.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
and certainly important in helping the Muppet Show actually get a proper seasons in a run.
And it ran for a while. It was successful, and then
very successful,
and then obviously spin-off movies. But just talk about other TV shows that we grew up with. Of course, was it early 80s to mid 80s Fraggle Rock?
Sure, yeah.
Which
mid 80s,
which has been revived and doing quite well.
Absolutely.
And there's a stage show of Fraggle Rock in America.
Yes, incredible.
Which looks amazing. You're like, I'm not.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just, I just think, that just shows you like the power of his work. It's still wanting to be. People still want to see his stuff in different ways, in new ways.
And I'd say that was another kids show, but for slightly older kids than.
Yeah, it was about. It was very much about teaching kids about about different things than necessarily you'd learn on Sesame Street. So it was more about looking after each other and in a more productive way, and I think more environmental kind of way as well. Yeah. All these kind of elements went into the show.
They were more subtle than
in a very subtle way, of course, but clear that that's the message I think that he wanted to get out.
Yeah. And that's kind of what he was about, like educating not just kids but adults in an entertaining way.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I rewatched Fraggle Rock a few years ago. It's not one that, as an adult, you can sort of binge, but you can dip into it. It looks great. The characters are fun.
Yes.
The humour's good. It's just one of those joyful things to watch.
Yeah, I think so. From a nostalgic point of view, of course, for us, again, we're talking about early memories of what Henson stuff you saw. Fraggle Rock was certainly there as well. Very well might have seen an episode of that before I acknowledged Sesame Street, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They all pretty much came around at the same time in my head, Like I can't really distinguish them being like separate times. They were different shows and I recognized them as different shows, but they were all there together at once, in the mid 80s when I'm first like getting conscious of, what I'm watching and, things like that. So that was important show, Fraggle Rock.
Yeah. And how long ago was it? I'd say 10-ish years ago, at the last pub I worked at, before the one I'm at now, the Fraggle Rock theme was on the jukebox.
Yeah.
I've told you about this.
I think so.
And we used to put it on a lot, and it would come on, and the whole pub would stop and do the clap along. Literally everybody, people who didn't actually get on that well, and people would come in the pub, it would be on, and just be bewildered by this.
Yeah, sure.
No matter what time of day.
Yeah.
And it
amazing.
But
you can completely see that. I mean, you'd like to think that would work anywhere. Anywhere you go went in the world, when it came on, people did the clap. But iconic, as they say, stuff.
Yeah. And and it's still remembered, and still, I know it stopped for many a year, but it's come back.
But that song, right? Talking about the music, the importance of the music. I mean, it's true. It works so well in the minds of grown-ups thinking about their past, remembering songs that were so catchy and memorable, and things that you'd sing at school. Because everyone was, you change the words, make up rude words or stuff like that at school. It wasn't like it was a thing that was just passing. It became a part of, even though the show was not on TV anymore and hadn't been for years, it was still a thing that kids remembered, grown-up kids remembered. So
everybody remembers Sprocket the dog as well.
They do, fondly.
Yeah, and
but that, I think, right, so the great thing about the Muppets, I think, in general, and their variations, is the fact that you have them working alongside human beings.
Yeah.
Right? So Sprocket works. Of course, Sprocket is a Muppet himself, but he has a human, who is a real human in his life. And this is the connection that we have as people to this world.
Yeah.
And it's very important. It's done in a really nice way as well. I remember that very fondly.
That's the thing, because it's set in. It's not like the Smurfs, where it's a one minstrel.
Magic.
It's set here,
and
it's the Muppets are a different species, so to speak. An interesting thing about Fraggle Rock is, for the UK and American audience, there's a different actor.
Yes.
A well-known British actor and a well-known American actor.
Yeah.
The guy from Porridge, wasn't it? Over here, which is, it might sound silly, but another little attention to detail they do for these shows.
Yeah.
Which is quite unique. I do want to mention something else as well. I don't know the name of it, but there was because I totally forgot to look it up. There was a quite famous, and I've never seen it, Christmas special he done. So I want to talk about. Do you know the one I mean?
I do know the one you mean, and I have I remember speaking to Andrew Stratton, who is alumni of other podcasts that you've done. Speaking to him about it not too long ago, and I couldn't. At the time of speaking to him about it, I couldn't remember it. He was, and I was like, "Wow, that sounds amazing."
Is this a little musical one?
Yeah,
yeah. Because I don't know, but
then I looked it up and went, "Oh no, I had seen it."
Okay. Because that's another one that's on Disney Plus, and I meant to watch it. But growing up, I was very young. I just wanted to, and I remember a Christmas morning. Normally, we weren't allowed the TV on until after. We'd all had Christmas dinner and sort of chilling. We'd put the telly on, and one Christmas morning, for whatever reason, I was allowed the TV on, and there was a special called A Christmas Toy. Have you ever seen this?
Maybe.
And it was like there was like Jim Henson specials in America, like quite often, and this was the Christmas one, introduced by Kermit the Frog. Then it was the story of toys, and much like Toy Story, when the kids weren't around, and there was a little lion, was he a tiger? A little tiger. And he's the favourite toy, and then the new toy comes in.
I think, do you know what? This does sound so familiar. But,
and I remember absolutely loving it, and for years not knowing what it was called.
Yeah.
And you'd see clips, and it's on YouTube now.
Yeah, sure.
And I have somewhere, which I bought probably 15 years ago, a DVD of it.
Oh right.
It might have even been American import, but I've got a physical copy of it somewhere.
Right.
And when I can, I still watch it every Christmas. So I went from the age of about probably 5 to probably 25 and not seeing it.
Yeah, and just remembering it.
And then but in that time, Toy Story came out.
Sure.
And it's often credited for being a big influence on Toy Story.
Right. Well, it must be with what you just described. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, it's not... for years there's been stories of toys coming out.
Sure.
But the whole new toy coming in at Christmas thing,
that part.
It's in that respect, it's very similar. It's live action toys coming along, and then you see like the feet of the adult humans, and much like the Muppet Babies, you'd see the foot of the. And it was just one of those things. Another thing, a smaller thing that seemed a real big part of my childhood. It was so magical to me as a kid, and it now. I think the nostalgia. If I probably watched it for the first time now, it'd be like a bit of fluff.
Yeah.
But that's the impact he had on us as a kid.
Sure. Absolutely.
This goes without saying. This is before CGI and everything. And can you imagine a CGI Muppet? Who'd want that?
Oh, indeed. It'd spoil everything that makes the Muppets so.
I just mentioned there the Muppet Babies. There was an animated.
Yes.
Which was
it was based on a dream almost that Miss Piggy has when she sings a song.
Muppets Take Manhattan.
From Muppets Take Manhattan, when she's imagining a future with a married future with Kermit the Frog, and they have children.
Yeah.
And from that little sort of funny gag, ultimately an animated series was born.
Yeah, I believe it was Marvel. I think Marvel had something like they did with Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not 100%,
right. Okay.
But they put a lot of these cartoons out in the 80s, and that was on as well.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that a lot.
Yeah, and what I liked about that was that they insert clips from films like Ghostbusters and things like that were put in it, which you probably wouldn't be able to do now for copyright reasons.
No, you're right, indeed, yeah.
And that might be a reason why it's not.
Yeah, you never see it.
No, there's a newer version a few years ago.
Right.
But I suspect that's why it's not available for various copyright reasons. But another thing I remember really fondly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a good show.
Go bye-bye was the catchphrase.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm sure for very made specifically for young children. Yeah. I'd say this one. So not one for all ages, I suppose. So if I saw it now, it'd probably have like a 5-minute, like, oh, I remember that, and then that'll do. Yeah. Yeah.
But another TV show, there's quite a few which. For older audiences, another one I remember really well, watching it with my parents. My parents loved it as well. Jim Henson's The Storyteller.
Absolutely.
Another dog.
Yeah, amazing. Dog. I mean, I remember, okay, so we're talking about memories and first times and all that. This is the first show that I could say, because I'd definitely seen the movies by this point, or at least a couple of them, and was very, very into, Henson's work, and and the Labyrinth, which we're going to talk about in a minute, had recently come out.
Yeah.
and was also very knowledgeable of the memory of that coming out. There's posters and the adverts and trailers and stuff like that. But this show was the thing where I was like, it's a new show on TV that is made by Henson. And I remember that. Yeah. Watching every episode when it can, being really excited, properly, anticipation for the next episode.
And it was like Channel 4 about 6 o'clock.
That's right, Channel 4, 6 o'clock on a Sunday. 1988, I think. Yeah.
So for me, it's strange because I can remember watching Labyrinth as a kid, but I can't remember the adverts and it coming out.
Oh, I so clearly just remember them. And we have an advert right now that I have upstairs in the. So we're doing this podcast in the cinema. So upstairs there's a television that has adverts running constantly, and trailers, not adverts. And one of the trailers is the original Labyrinth trailer. And when I put that on, I remember this. I remember every single clip, how in order of how it goes, because I just saw it so many times as a kid.
Yeah,
before I'd seen the film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about this, and I went to the cinema. It was a treat. The parents would take me. It felt like every bank holiday, every half-term movie. But the earliest films I remember seeing, vividly, if that makes sense, is Masters of the Universe, Benji the Hunted, and all films from about 87. Yeah. So I don't think I can literally remember. You showed it here a few years ago. It's the first time I've seen it since Santa Claus the movie. So I think maybe when that came out, we just didn't go for that period, so I might not have...
I'll tell you, I did not see Labyrinth at the cinema.
No, but you remember seeing the trailer?
I remember seeing the trailer all the time, and I must have seen it, I don't know, a year or two after it come out. Things back then, for younger audiences, listeners, were very different. Like the timing of seeing things was very different to how it is now. Yeah. Like things could come out and you'd know about them and see all the promos stuff, but you might not see the film for another 6 months. Yeah. Or even a year.
And it was when a film went from the cinema, quite often it was a year before it came on video.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's a few months and you can get hold of it, But also, much like now, the bigger the hit, the longer it took to come out. Yeah. Which is clever marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So very different time to how things work.
So the Storyteller. Which I loved. I remember having a book of it, a big book. I wish I don't know what happened to it. But the Storyteller as well. Recently there's been comics. Yes. And it's just had a fancy Blu-ray re-release as well. Yeah. And I do think you can watch it on. I think it's on Prime as well.
It is on Prime. Yeah. Again, it was on Prime a while ago, and then they got rid of it, and then they brought it back. So it's clearly very popular.
I do recommend the Blu-ray. There's a nice little
it's come out recently.
Making a featurette with Steve Barron, who I'm going to mention. Is it Barron? Steve Barron, who directed?
Steve Barron, who directed, I think 3 of the episodes. But he's credited as like the person that creates the feel of the show. So every episode kind of looks the same, and that style is his style.
Yeah. Right. So that's an interesting little documentary, and they've really cleaned it up well, and it looks good. Yeah. I had a DVD of that as well, and the quality wasn't great.
No, it was probably just a transfer from the TV show.
Yeah. But they made six episodes, I believe. Was it 9?
I think it's something like 6 or 7.
And then there's a follow-up series.
Then there's a follow-up, which is Greek Myths, which only had 3. Yeah. Which John Hurt was the original storyteller for the original run, which are mainly sort of Scandinavian and Germanic folk tales. Then there was a new series, they say, which was Greek Myths, which was Michael Gambon was the man. Yeah, which is brilliant. I mean, both guys, phenomenal actors, completely spellbound you, take you in. You just want to see them. I watch them now. I'll put one on. I won't watch them all. I just put one on, and when I'm just feeling like, I want to see.
But you got to spare 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, he's so brilliant. He's just absolutely brilliant.
And I always think as well that you mentioned John Hurt and Dog, his sidekick.
Yes.
He's voiced by Hoggle from Labyrinth, or Brian Henson. Who Jim Henson's son, and he does the same voice.
It's exactly the same voice, which is great. Again, it's a thing you'll hear and you'll just know. You're like, what world you're in. You know the voice. You're happy to hear it, and it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but you're like, it's going to be good. You know what I mean? You just know already it's going to be good when you hear that voice.
Yeah. But as we just mentioned, I mentioned TV stuff. There's probably stuff we've missed out. We've done so much. And the movies, there was Muppet movies, the original Muppet movie from 79.
Yeah, 79, which had, again, loads of cameos in
there. Yeah, Richard Pryor and Steve Martin in the same film.
Yeah.
For me, that's...
Exactly.
And that is probably still my second favourite Muppet film.
Yeah,
the great Muppet,
I'd agree with that one.
Yeah, Great Muppet Caper, which we showed here.
Yeah.
And, that's so good to see in the cinema.
Good.
And then was it Take Manhattan?
It's Take Manhattan in 84.
Which is my favourite.
It is my favourite too. And again, going back to memories, that's definitely the one that I saw the most as a kid.
Same.
Because we had it on taped off the television.
Exactly.
And so I watched it all the time. It clearly was, I'm sure, the most easy one to get the rights to put it on TV, because it feels like it was on a lot as well, where Caper was not.
No. But interestingly enough, there's a box set of the Muppet movies, and that's not in it. All the others are there.
Yeah.
But you can get it. I've got it. Then after that, there was, just trying to think, did they do one in between that and Christmas Carol?
A Muppet film?
Yeah.
No.
No.
As far as the Muppets goes, we get to 84. Where as far as feature films in the cinema, theatrical films in the cinema, that is the last one. Yeah,
and then Henson went on to do Dark Crystal.
No, Dark Crystal comes out before.
Does it? Is that 83?
82. I think 82.
Yeah.
So that's sort of in between, which is again another completely different world. Dark Crystal, dark fantasy. Completely 1980s all over it.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Scary but kid scary.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. It's just that's great.
That's a really influential one. They brought it back a few years ago again for a TV series, which critically was really acclaimed.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it. I thought it was good.
Yeah. I mean, for me, not being a TV man, I think I'd have loved to have seen a film. But you've got the equivalent of free films, though. So, and that's another one that, like Labyrinth, at the time didn't do very well, but is remembered fondly.
Yeah, absolutely. Very fondly. I mean, people often will put the two side by side. Which do you prefer? Dark Crystal, Labyrinth?
There's been double DVD releases of it, and there's another one you've shown here.
Yes.
Only time I've ever seen it on the big screen. I was too young when it came out.
Yeah, me too.
And there's another one, like a lot of films from this era, that scared kids.
Yes.
Good, because it's I think it's part of growing up, and it's not too scary, and you've got to face these things.
It's great storytelling.
Yeah.
He was one of the masters of storytelling. There's nothing about it that is inappropriate. No. It's just perfect for everybody. I mean, sure, there's some people that will find it too scary, maybe, but as far as it being something that everybody could truly watch, it's perfect.
I mean, weirdly for me, it feels like a more family kid-friendly version of something like maybe Conan or something like that.
Well, it's that kind of world, isn't it?
It's that sort of mystical, and it is darker, but there's also quite a bit of fun elements in it.
Absolutely.
But to me, it feels like he's taken I know I've read that the box office failings of his movies did here, but I think he took what he'd learned from the reaction to Dark Crystal, and then listen to people when it comes to Labyrinth. Make it more lighthearted. He put songs in it. There's no humans in Dark Crystal, which is something that
absolutely.
And in Labyrinth there's very few, but there is. It's the two worlds coming together.
Oh, indeed. And Labyrinth works on the level that it does. Again, I'll repeat myself, because there are humans. Right. Now that's crucial to us as an audience, being in this world.
I mean, let's talk about Labyrinth now, because there's a few things we can talk about afterwards, but that was things that came more after his death, I suppose. Now, Labyrinth, I believe, was the last film he directed.
Yes, as far as I'm aware.
And collaboration with George Lucas produced it. And the screenplay was by Terry Jones.
That's right.
On the last episode, I got the wrong Terry from Monty Python. And, of course, starring David Bowie.
David Bowie as the star, yes. I mean, if you want to say... He is, of course, truly the star. He was a star, international, one of the biggest names in pop of all time. And at that point in the late 80s, he'd had some of his biggest hits had already come out, but even in the early 80s he was again riding another crest of a wave and having number ones, and was still a name even though he'd been around for a long time. So it wasn't like he was a has-been who, let's get someone that people will remember but isn't cool anymore. He was still super cool.
Yeah. It's interesting. He's the star of the movie, whereas the main character is Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, sure.
And there is a difference. He was all over the market, and of course Jennifer Connelly was child actress.
Yeah.
She had been in Once Upon a Time in America.
Once Upon a Time in America, a couple of years previous, and that's a great film. A small role in that, but important in the sense that you could definitely see that there's someone that should go off and have a really big career, which she has had. Oscar winner, by the way. Yeah. So you remember her fondly. I do anyway. I have had conversations with a lot of people over the years about Labyrinth, of course, and I have come across people who have not found her performance great, which I think is in the sense of like being a bit wooden and a bit kind of. I know I do not see it at all. I've always, even as a young kid, I always remember fondly feeling like, that she's angry at her position that she's in as a young teenage girl, that she has to look after her younger brother. But when he is gone, she truly does want him back. Yeah. She truly does feel.
Yeah, I think she's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but there are people that think, oh no, she should have got someone else.
The only thing criticism is not criticism of her performance. When I was a kid, she felt older than the character she was playing.
Absolutely.
But I think that is because I was a lot younger than her when I watched it.
Indeed.
And she's supposed to be 15, is she 14?
I think she's, I don't know how old, I can tell you how old she was when they made it. She was 14. 14. And they're probably, I'm sure, playing a 14-year-old.
Yeah. Because, she's got the bedroom with all the dolls and and 14-year-old kids would have that. Yeah. But they're at that age where they'd probably start to pretend they're not into that.
That's right. It is that cusp. It is that changing of the adolescence, the hormones and all the rest of it. Right. That's exactly where she is.
Yeah. So because when I watched it, I would have been a lot younger than that, and I would have also seen people playing characters a couple of years older than that, or a year older than that, like in, say, The Breakfast Club, where they all look a lot older.
Yes.
But to me, she looked that age, but playing. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
But that's, I think that's, if I was to watch this for the first time as an adult, she would be exactly that age, and
absolutely,
it would appear. And that's. I can remember thinking that when I was younger. It didn't affect the film for me.
No, not at all. I mean, she's got to have agency. She has to not be. I mean, she's naive because she's young, and she lives in a fantasy world in her own head.
Yeah.
Because she obviously feels, I'm guessing, like there's a lot going on in the background of Labyrinth.
Yes.
that that is not explained, that is not talked about, which is the relationship that she has with her parents and her background. We see images of it in her room, but it's not talked about. So we don't, we're kind of like left to our imagination to wonder why she is the way she is, why she's feeling the feelings that she's feeling.
Yeah, all you've got to do when you watch it, and you're all going to go and watch it, is look around her bedroom in the bedroom scenes. And something I picked up on a lot when I was younger, as well as seeing images of Disney's Robin Hood in it. Another personal favourite. But yeah, I mean, there's very few humans in it. There's the baby, played by two different babies. No, was it one?
Two, I believe. Yeah, it generally is when you have young kids.
And one of them's gone on to be a puppeteer himself.
Yeah.
And the parents, and then David Bowie. That's pretty much it for the humans.
That is it, yeah.
But what makes this film, well, many things make this film, so many different creatures, characters, so iconic, so many of them. There's still T-shirts of them being made, and it's a bit of a Wizard of Oz. She encounters these characters on the way, picks them up on the way.
It's a road movie, the same way that Wizard of Oz is.
Yeah, and just so many of the characters are just so good in it that's one of the many things that makes it this classic. And you can say the word, like I mentioned, Hoggle earlier. Mm-hmm. So to anybody like 35 plus, they'll know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the detail in it, the songs in it, it's just is it? Would you class it as a musical? Because there's a few songs, but
yeah,
not
absolutely. I mean, it's a bit hard not to really.
Yeah, but it's not like a song every 5 minutes.
No. I mean, the musicals for me. In fact, this is again another debate I've had with people over the years about what really makes a musical. Because I've often said that certain musicals that I love, people have gone, yeah, there's music in them and songs and that, but they're not really musicals. I'm like, yeah, but they are though, aren't they? Like Blues Brothers.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's definitely a musical.
It's a musical, though people don't necessarily look at it as such.
Yeah, because a lot of people are kind of anti-musical, and if they don't like, if they like a film, they don't want it to be a musical. So they're like,
no, of course it's a musical. You have David Bowie singing songs in it. You know, he's not like he just did the music. He's actually physically singing songs, and there's other songs in it which other characters sing as well. You know, other Muppets and things.
I laughed the other day because I use Letterboxd a lot, and a friend of mine reviewed Muppet Christmas Carol and only gave it 4 out of 5. So I jokingly criticised him. And she said, well, it would be 5 out of 5, but it's a musical. Obviously joking, but she doesn't like musicals.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but you know, come on, let's all grow up a little bit.
Let's all grow up and
enjoy these things.
Yeah. This is another thing where recently I've been collecting. There's been more recent comics of it. They've reissued. This was last year, so the year before the anniversary. Reissued the original run of 4 Marvel comics, I believe. And then there's been a new one where they've redone it in more detail, like an 8-parter. There's loads of books and merch. It's not something that I don't think they're trying to grab money off people. I think there's an interest in it.
Well, I mean, I think Labyrinth is an important part of a generation's, growing up, and they want to. Certain people want to continue that journey, want to still be a part of them, not just rewatching the movie. So yeah, I mean, you can understand why there's other properties based on this, on lots of properties based on this particular property itself, other mediums, as it were, So yeah, just in case people haven't seen the movie. I know, crazy, eh? It's probably not, talk about necessarily too much about what happens in any great detail. But, the journey is one that I think is one of the best of its type. Yeah. The sort of the coming of age story, even though it is a fantasy film, it is really based on what we're looking at here is a young woman growing up to a certain degree.
Basic premise is Sarah, played by Jennifer Connelly, doesn't want to babysit, has a big hissy fit about having to look after her little brother, and from the mystical world, the Goblin King, Jared, isn't it? Played by David Bowie. Jareth, sorry. Kidnaps the baby, and she has to go and save the baby. Yeah. That's the basic premise, and she has to go through the labyrinth to save.
To get to the Goblin King, to the castle.
Learning many a thing and making many a friend on the way.
Absolutely. Which is obviously important because that's kind of, a big part of just life in general. But what the Goblin King really wants is her. Yeah. Right? I mean, and that's established early on as well. That really it is really about her. And again, I'm not getting too much into it, but who is the Goblin King really? Like beyond the fantasy. It's interesting. So I know to get people to see and to think about it, because it's an interesting story, and it's more grown up in a lot of ways, I think, than people realise. Which I think also, even though it's fun and and a good time that should be had by all, I think that might have been a problem for certain parents of children at the time that it came out. That it might have been a little too. I'm not too sure about this relationship, right? Yeah. Between this teenage girl and this David Bowie. You know? Yeah. There's some bits of it where I'm like, I can see very ultra conservative people being not happy about this.
But the point is, he is a goblin, as in a Goblin King.
Yeah.
So he's not human. I know he's played by human, but that character isn't.
Yeah.
So that, for me,
I agree, and I think that's but even I as a kid, I remember feeling like there's something a bit kind of sensual going on here.
Yeah.
And that might be, and then growing up and then thinking about that a little more, going, okay, maybe some people probably didn't like that too much. But it's fantasy storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, she's she's a young woman, she's growing up. There is nothing inappropriate in the film at all. No. It's just recognizing these feelings, and that's important. Yeah. Because these are things that people go through.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
This is the thing, because at the time, I believe it's a PG now.
Yeah.
There was a U certificate, but it's a family film.
Absolutely.
But targeted most at the age of that character, surely.
I would think so. More the teenage crowd.
Mid-teens. Yeah. You know,
early mid-teens, definitely.
Yeah, and you know, and it's there's nothing worse in any of these movies than there being a grim fairy tale. In fact, the grim fairy tales are a lot worse, in my opinion.
Of course.
So yeah, it's about growing up. And
absolutely.
I think you need things like that, and that's why it's lasted. And I was only speaking to someone a couple of days ago. I don't know that well. He goes to talk to about films, and I go to the coffee shop she works in, and her favourite film is Labyrinth.
Oh, there's so many people.
But she's a mega horror fan, and I see that a lot in horror fans. The whole imagery of it, the fantasy of it. It's this and Dark Crystal.
Yes.
For me, and I use this term as overused, kind of early gateway horror films.
Absolutely. For young kids, these are the movies that for our generation are the beginnings of, if you are interested in things that of fantasy and horror, right? That are more mature.
Yeah, fantasy as well. I mean, I can see a lot of people who a few years later, 10 years later, however long it was, 15 years later, got really into Lord of the Rings, would have grown up on this.
Oh yeah,
and even Harry Potter, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. But in that time, in the 80s, there were a lot of these kind of these films that were looking at children. This is my perception of it. Looking at children as not necessarily things that we should feel we have to protect in Cold War. There were a lot of them, weren't there? Yeah. It wasn't just there was one or two. There were many, and there were also a lot of fantasy movies for adults as well. In fact, the 80s was certainly a time of the sword and sorcery movies, a lot of B movies that are based in this kind of world. And you would have seen as a kid, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, Secret of Nim, Return to Oz, stuff like that, Black Cauldron,
Never-ending story,
all these kind of things. The element of dread and young people in peril, and even sometimes even death, like proper, death, just actual, things that are perhaps, I don't know, people may say are inappropriate for kids by today's standards. I don't know. At the time, though, it was just, it was, I don't know, well-made storytelling as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to touch on, I think that with these things we grew up on, anybody of our age would not just be fine with their kids watching Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, they want them to.
Yeah.
To the point that they might push it too much to put them off. But when new things are made with the same themes, they're like, oh, that's a bit inappropriate. Not thinking what we used to watch.
Agreed.
And it is part of growing up. And most of the more adult stuff, it goes over the kids' heads. They want to see the fun creatures, the comedy side of it.
Agreed, but I do remember as a kid feeling those feelings, feeling fear, feeling the idea, the peril, seeing your characters that you like go through trauma, right? And you're feeling that as well, and that's not a bad thing.
No, but then there's the almost like when you get a comedy horror, you get the comic relief after.
I mean, if it was just that, if it was just you'd have like a generation of depressed kids, right?
And that's why. Probably for me, Labyrinth works a lot better than Dark Crystal.
Sure.
Because there is that in Dark Crystal, but not as much.
Indeed,
and,
I agree.
I think for me, they're both 5-star films for different ways.
Right.
But I find Labyrinth far more fun and far more rewatchable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to say this is something that people do have in my past. Wanted to compare which is better, which do you think is better. I don't like to say. Because I don't really think either.
Yeah, I just done a bit of a cop out there, didn't I? I said what I preferred, but I didn't say one was better.
Yeah. Well, indeed, that's fine. And, okay, if we're talking about which one you'd watch more, of course it's Labyrinth. Right? Yeah. Labyrinth is because of the reasons that you just said. It's rounded. It's a better story in the sense of giving you more, right?
Yeah.
You got songs. It is funnier. There's human beings in it, which I've said time and time again with this podcast, is crucial for you, the audience, to go into the world.
Yeah. But it's like, two of my favourite films, Cinema Paradiso, and Ernest Goes to Camp.
Amazing.
Right? Which would I have watched more? Ernest Goes to Camp. Which is better?
Well,
I'm not going to say. No. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what. Sometimes it is that a film like Labyrinth, I have never seen on the big screen. Right.
Yeah.
In the 40 years it's been out, I've never seen it on the big screen, and I want to, and I'm going to.
Good.
But to me, that is a film I want to see with an audience.
Yeah.
Whereas certain films I wouldn't be as fussed about.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to this. And I think it should introduce not just some youngsters into this world and Jim Henson's work, but it might actually, if there's a good atmosphere and stuff, like what's happened when they've reshown, and you've reshown, Muppet Christmas Carol, that cinema experience. Because I am going to say something, because you're not a multiplex, right? At multiplexes, when a big film comes out, often there's so many screenings of a film that the film can make millions, but when people go and see it, there's not many in the screening.
Yeah.
When we were kids, and like here, and we'd come and see films here actually, there was one screen, maybe two.
Yeah. And
2 or 3 showings a day, not 15. So you watched it with an audience.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you soaked the atmosphere up, and it's probably as many people, maybe not quite as many, but nearly as many people seeing the films, but not together.
Yeah, true.
That's the point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's certainly a film that we have put it on before. It's certainly a film that I feel like when it's on, I'm happy it's on, and I want the idea of feeling the audience anticipation, excitement for the film. It's one of those, like you just say, it's one of those kind of movies that you want to see with other people. So.
Definitely got that when you showed The Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
There was people, and we were all talking about it after, and there was that nice little atmosphere.
And I'm pretty sure that the majority of the audience are going to be our age. Just like, yay, remembering being a kid kind of thing. But I'm hoping there's going to be some young'uns, some kids coming along, maybe even seeing it for the first time. How amazing would that be?
Yeah, exactly. Right? And I've got a Blu-ray of it, but it's been long deleted actually. So I imagine it's not that easy to watch nowadays. At the moment, it sort of comes and goes.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, the DVD, there were many copies of that.
Yeah, but it's not. If you can't pick a new copy of it up at the moment.
Right.
Maybe they're holding back. They're going to do the cinema release.
Probably. I'm sure there will be a home release for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, but it's good because it's getting a nationwide release, which for a 40-year-old kids film doesn't happen very often.
No.
But
it's very true.
It's got a big Sunday evening showing here. Yeah. What else do you want to do on a Sunday evening? The Storyteller is not on anymore. So come here and watch.
I'll tell you what you should do. You should watch it. Either end. Watch an episode of The Storyteller. Come and see Labyrinth. Then watch another episode of The Storyteller when you get home. That's a Sunday.
Yeah. Right. Just wanted to say a few more things about Jim Henson. What we didn't do. Of course, not just his own work, but we know him from things like Star Wars. Yoda especially.
Yes.
Lots of his work was on other projects. And Steve Barron, we mentioned, who directed the Ninja Turtles movie.
Indeed, in 1990,
And I think that was the last thing that...
I believe that's the last thing when Henson was alive that came out.
Yeah. And I still think that's the best interpretation of the Ninja Turtles with the animatronic faces.
Without question.
It's so Henson, but also not.
Yeah.
It is, but it's also, it feels like those comics as well. And I think he's done such a good job on that. And obviously his team, who are still doing stuff today, the Jim Henson company, I mean, they now work with Disney, but they still do that. I mean,
they got that, they started working with Disney just as at the time of Jim Henson died. Yeah. So the connection with Disney is an old one. Right? It's been around since at least 1990. Yeah. It's important. There were a lot of projects going forward, some of which we've seen, like dinosaurs and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of good work that I think. Not saying there wasn't good work, like I say, going forward anyway. But it's a real sad, obviously very sad that he died when he did, because he wasn't old. He was in his 50s.
Yeah.
But there were lots going forward. There was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was peak. He was riding just so high at that point. It was good. It was a great time, and so such a tragedy that it happened.
And such a shame he didn't see how beloved Labyrinth became.
Oh yeah,
as well, and Dark Crystal.
Yeah,
obviously.
Indeed. I mean, very sad.
And I think Labyrinth is up there with his most popular stuff.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, Labyrinth in a way is as popular as the Muppets.
Oh yeah, for different reasons, of course. But yeah, I completely agree with that. I can't see it not being. It seems so fondly now, and has been for many years, that it seems kind of strange the reaction it had when it came out, because it didn't do well when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting what came along with it. I think as well, and I think this is the 80s, I done a podcast a few years ago with a guy who loves films, who would be on the film Supergirl, the original one.
Yeah.
And he said, and he admitted, because he's an honest guy, that when it came out, he was a young adult who just thought it was a bit not cool to go and see a film where there was a lead teenage girl.
Yeah.
And maybe Labyrinth had that against it. A lot of boys would have wanted to go and see, I don't know, Transformers or something like that when it came out.
I think there are many factors. Yeah. That's definitely one of them. I think from our point of view, negative reaction is that people might have had enough of, it's another thing. The Jim Henson's Muppets again, is it? We don't need another one of that. And at the same time, that it's not the Muppets, yet it's a Jim Henson thing.
Yeah.
So there would have been the two sides there going, I don't want that.
And also the George Lucas, but not Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, not around the same time, another awesome film, Howard the Duck, came out.
Oh, same year.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Howard
a year.
the Duck actually made more money than Labyrinth.
Yeah, mate, I know.
Yeah.
These are recoup a hell of a lot more.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it was just that weird stage of, I mean, Labyrinth is kind of universally loved.
Yes.
Whereas Howard the Duck has a following now. Yeah. People like us who love it.
It's one of the best movies of the 80s.
It's great. But some people don't like it. It's just that I think it's just around the time of a year or so later, maybe 2 years later, Willow came out and that bombed really, really badly. And you had Never Ending Story, Legend. There's so much of it that maybe it just got caught in the.
Sadly I think a part of it. I think there are people that would just be like I say, just be like, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's not what I want to go see at the cinema. Thank you very much. And then there are people, I think that probably were a bit confused by it. We're a bit like, what is this for children or isn't it? I don't understand. There's just, I think. It was a very odd time, I think, the 80s, where there were a lot of people like creatively trying some interesting, wanting to do more exciting and interesting and innovative work, which they did. And I think a lot of people going to the cinema at the time did not understand that.
Yeah. But and it was a new thing, whereas in a way, I know there was comics, but not a big comic. Howard the Duck was a newish thing. But when there was... For me, this came out at the same time as like the Care Bears movie and Transformers and G.I. Joe and all this stuff, where there was a fan base already, whereas for this there wasn't.
Absolutely.
And also Bowie's the star. The young kids wouldn't care.
No. And
Bowie's fans, because he'd been around for well over a decade before this, do they want to see a kids film?
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. This is it. There are so many factors that kind of pull it in different directions that at the time it wasn't cohesive enough. It wasn't like it's definitely this for these people. There was so much going on, which is great, but the audience at the time were a bit, like I say, confused by that, and I think some critics were as well, where they just like, who is this for? And also, I've had enough of Jim Henson, which is, what is wrong with you?
Everyone would regret saying that. Who said it? Also, do you know who was originally supposed to be the Goblin King before Bowie?
No.
It was Alice Cooper.
Amazing.
That
would have been a very different movie.
And yeah, it would have been too dark, and that's why they changed it.
Yeah.
And I believe they thought of it when because Alice Cooper guested on the Muppet Show, didn't he? So I think it'd been good, but it'd have been different. It'd been dark.
Yeah.
It would have been more like a Tim Burton movie, probably.
Probably, yeah.
So,
but I also don't really. I mean, I know a lot of people don't really rate Bowie as an actor, but I do. I think he's really good. Was really good. Where Cooper, I mean, I've seen him in tiny roles in a couple of movies, but never really played like sort of more of a lead thing.
No, I mean,
where Bowie had done.
If he was in this movie, he wouldn't be the Goblin King. He'd be Alice Cooper with the top hat,
Exactly.
and he'd have to have been that. And
it's hard to get away from Bowie, though, even though I think he does a very good job at making you think, it's not necessarily David Bowie, but you can't really get past it. You still can't.
I think this was my introduction as a kid to Bowie, anyway.
Right.
So
it wasn't for me because Bowie was in the household. Not literally, but the music was played all the time, and so I knew the face, knew the image of him. Yeah.
My folks weren't big on him, so for me it would have been I'd have probably heard the songs but not connected. Mm-hmm. I still think his best song is Magic Dance.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think this album, right, the music he did for this record is definitely some of the best stuff he did in the 80s, without question.
He did do some good stuff in the 80s as well, didn't he?
So, he did.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've done a
lot. Jim Henson and Labyrinth special. Do say you said you don't like. I will mention this. I think you don't like comparing Dark Crystal to Labyrinth. Some point this year, because of its 40th anniversary, I'm doing that on my Beyond Grains and Stars podcast with guests from the Criminal Crack podcast. Yeah, and we're going to come on and watch them both again and compare them, which is great because we're not doing that yet. So I get to see Labyrinth at the cinema, then I'll have to refresh and watch it later on in the year.
Amazing.
So
you have to watch it twice.
It's going to be difficult to compare them. Now you've pointed it out to me. I'm like, oh god.
Well, I mean, I don't like doing that just because I like them both, and I don't like to give the impression that there's something, I don't know, worse or better necessarily about either. I did mention, I would watch and certainly have watched Labyrinth more times than Dark Crystal, but they have their, they're both brilliant films.
Yeah.
So
two iconic family films from the 80s.
Yeah, and I'd say so.
And also, weirdly, they both seem timeless. They're put into this 80s thing, but there's very little in either film you could put a date on.
Henson was very good, I think. He was very good at doing that in general. I think that was sort of, even though, like, say, that the Muppets live in our world, they obviously inhabit a kind of in-between kind of thing where it is fantasy, obviously, but they're just so, this is going to sound weird, real, in the sense that when you put Michael Caine with them, it works because he believes, if this is in great, if you don't, sorry, Michael Caine in Muppets Christmas Carol, which is one of his best performances ever, in my opinion, and it's because he sees them as real, right, even though we all know that they're not. I know. He sees them as such, and that's why it works. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of Henson in general, is that he's made something that isn't real be real.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's why it's timeless.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah, amazing stuff. So, get yourselves to the King Street Cinema on Sunday the 11th of this month, January. But if you listen to this later, we just enjoy talking about Jim Henson.
Yes.
But get to King Street because there's lots coming up, and we'll have another of our normal shows.
We got some. I mean, if you like older movies or anniversaries, we've got some coming up. So watch this space
and check out the King Street Cinema website and on social media. Thank you all very much for listening. And as I say, we'll be back next month for our regular show.